It was a big club. It's still a big club, a 3,000 capacity venue, and it was packed. I was largely in the cellar, which on Thursdays was leather only at that point, but amazing number of waistcoats you could keep to slip onto mates who wanted to come in. We always had a way of letting out our friends in if we really wanted to. And they had all sorts of people on. The Bronski Beat, the Eurythmics, all sorts of bands. They were New Romantics, they were goths, but they all came together on the one night. It was London in the 80s at that point where it was really fashionable and trendy, and the gay scene was at the heart of it, and Heaven was right there.
And we're here outside Heaven, that hotspot from the 80s, which is currently closed due to the global pandemic of 2020.
But we're standing right outside in Richard's footsteps, however many years, maybe 40 years after he was here, describing that. And it's got a very, very big, bright, rainbow-coloured doorway.
And a lovely shimmering sign.
And right here, outside Heaven, with the rumbling trains above us of Charing Cross Station, above these brick arches, is where we start season 2 of the logbooks.
Well, Heaven opened, I seem to remember, in the late 70s. And it was there one evening in, I think it must have been the winter of 81-82, that I saw on a notice board a reference to an outbreak of Kaposi sarcoma among gays in San Francisco. And this is the first reference I ever had to AIDS, or what developed into AIDS.
So Tash, what was known about this rare form of cancer that James mentioned after seeing that notice in Heaven?
Very little was known at this time. Kaposi sarcoma, which was the main symptom, sort of became an AIDS-defining illness. But no one really knew anything. They knew it was affecting gay men. They knew it was especially to do with the Americans or people that had sex with Americans. And people were starting to die.
And that it was such a high fatality rate, and that had already been seen in America, and then, people started seeing cases here. It must have been really scary knowing that this was something that was affecting especially gay men, it seemed, more than any other group at the time, and that people were dying, and young people who were normally here in a nightclub on a Saturday night dancing their tits off. Yeah,
those that felt invincible suddenly weren't. So what did people start thinking? They started asking questions, they started being really afraid, they needed to know answers. And so one of the first places that people reached out to was Switchboard.
That meant that there were so many calls to Switchboard about HIV and AIDS in the period that we're going to cover in season 2, which is, Tash?
It's 1983 to 1991. So Adam, shall we go to Switchboard?
Are you going to take me to the Switchboard phone room?
Well, not actually Switchboard's phone room today, but Switchboard's phone room back then, which was above Houseman's Bookshop in King's Cross. So before we reopen the logbooks for season 2, let's go back there and get an idea of what it must have felt like to hear the phones ringing off the hook. Okay. So I guess we go up these stairs and find...
Yep. So these are the stairs that volunteers at the start of every shift would have come up to get to the phone room. Here we go.
Adam, welcome to Switchboard's old phone room.
Thank you. It's a bit musty.
Yeah.
Or is that just
sure.
me?
Doesn't look like it did back in the period of time that we're looking at, but This was a super busy period of time for Switchboard. It was when they had their millionth call, the phones are ringing off the hook. The logbooks throughout this period are jam-packed. I mean, you've read them.
The current occupiers of this room are pretty familiar with lots and lots of paper being jammed together. So it actually gives you quite a good impression because there's all these files and folders, and you can sort of imagine what the logbooks would have been like on the shelves, as well as all the information files, the accommodation files.
The rustling, the bustling, the phones ringing, the phones being answered, the volunteers speaking to the callers whilst reaching across and grabbing a folder, looking at the map, which is sort of spread across the wall with covered in pins pointing out different places to go in London and the UK. It was a room full of information to help Switchboard volunteers hold the hands of the community.
It's really just amazing to be in the old room where those logbooks lived and those volunteers worked and made all those notes that we've started looking through for season 2, all of those notes that became our LGBTQ plus heritage.
And these logbooks contain so much of that LGBTQ plus history, jam-packed with notes from the volunteers of the calls that they took. And as always, we're led by the logbooks and we'll be breaking each episode up into different themes.
So let's reopen the logbooks for season 2 and let's start by going back into the studio, Tash.
Let's go.
It's nice and cosy and warm in the studio, and it's great to be back in the studio with you, Tash.
Yeah, it's so nice. This season's definitely taken us longer than we thought because of the pandemic,
Yes.
but we're really pleased to have still been able to make it despite all the challenges of 2020.
Yes, and I don't know, 85 months ago when we started working on this season, we said that we just have to accept that the audio is going to be variable. You know, so we've interviewed some people in real life, some people on the phone or on the internet, that kind of thing. So we just have to deal with that.
Some of the stories that we've recorded are going to be quite hard to listen to. I know that we've both found, interviewing those people very emotional.
Yeah.
So we're going to always add those content warnings at the start of each episode.
Yeah, and we have to continue changing the callers' names to keep the calls confidential.
Yeah, and even though the content is hard, it's really important to us to record this heritage.
Yeah.
And we're going to be here with the listeners. We're going to try and keep it light while we go through these very complicated and difficult topics. But at the end of the day, people are amazing, and you and I have loved recording all of these stories and speaking to our contributors because they're the strength that they show, just the ability to be able to relive these memories and even joke in some of the darkest moments.
Yeah, and we really want to make sure that the memories and their stories are collected. And so that's really what the logbooks is, and that's what we've continued in season 2.
Yeah, that's right. But if you're actually new to us, go and catch up with season 1, then come back to season 2.
And if you're returning as a listener, welcome back.
Welcome back.
And it's great for us to be back, and we're really great to have you back as listeners. So let's go.
Yeah, let's get to it.
The Logbooks is produced by Shivani Dave, Tash Walker and Adam Zmith in partnership with Switchboard, the LGBT plus helpline.
If you think other people would like the logbooks, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. These ratings and reviews really help others to discover the show. You can send us your feedback and stories to hello@thelogbooks.org or join the conversation on social media with the hashtag #TheLogbooks.
Our music is by Tom Foskett Barnes and our artwork is by Natalie Dotto.
Thanks to Steph Dickers and team at the Bishopsgate Institute,
The BFI National Archive,
the folks at ACAST,
Mace, the Media Archive for Central England,
Peter Zaccaroli at West Digital,
Content is Queen,
the staff and volunteers at Switchboard,
and all the contributors who shared their stories.
Switchboard continues to take phone calls from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. If you're affected by any of the issues in this podcast or need to discuss anything to do with your gender identity or sexuality, you can call Switchboard on 0300 330 0630, email chris@switchboard.lgbt or instant message via switchboard.lgbt
where you can also donate money or time to help.